Hello, I'm Andrew Hara, the host of the Mom Squad. I wanted to tell you about my movies. All are available on Tubi, which is a free streaming service. The last one is a zombie drama about how a pandemic and isolation could drive a group of people mad. When the virus hits, John finds himself alone and scared until he meets Michael, his protector. But when Karina, another survivor, enters the mix, everything that John and Michael knew will be turned on its head. The last one's a zombie virus movie that's somehow even more relevant today. Plus, it has zombies. Check it out. Borderland is a mexploitation film about living in El Paso. When Sarah finds herself in debt to the cartels, she has until sunrise to find some missing monies with the help of her executioner. Borderland is a true midnight movie and a lot of fun. Finally, the documentary Humble Spirits tells the story of the Hahn family, including champion Jennifer Hahn from El Paso, Texas. The entire Hahn family has grown up in the combat sports and has helped shape who they are both in and out of the ring. Humble Spirits, a family of fighters, is the perfect documentary for boxing fans of all ages. Check out Tubi to watch all my films. And now, let's start the show. Hello, guys. Welcome to the first episode of 2023. We're doing our top 10, so I got the glasses ready. I can turn them on. Look, if you haven't seen my other videos, you don't know what's about to happen. Damn.
Whoa.
This is so cool.
Oh, pretty wild.
So, as you know, we haven't done a top 10 of the year yet. So, we're going to do that today. Now that William is back, we finally got William. The boys are back in town, so to speak.
Did you guys finish up Hellraiser?
We didn't. We stopped after 4.
Yeah, that seemed like a logical endpoint.
But then we did
so.
what else? Oh, we did some other films. We did one that's coming out next week. And then I did a deep dive on Skeletor, so go check that out. Because you're not. No one's checking it.
You never know.
Well, didn't you put it out the week the show got canceled or something like that?
I didn't know that the show was going to get canceled. And in the funniest thing is in the video, I did talk about how we need to watch the show to support it so it doesn't get canceled. And literally the day I put it out, my video was like destroyed in the algorithm because every tweet was about how the show got canceled.
Why did it get canceled?
I mean, it's Netflix. They've canceled everything.
Yeah, it's like, why does Netflix cancel literally anything?
Yeah,
so
true.
But, so we're doing our top 10 of the year. I'll put on this hat. I can't wear the glasses because they're too distracting, but I can wear the crown. And so the way we're going to do it is because there's 3 of us. So last year, me and Josh did back and forth, but there's 3 of us. So instead, we're each going to do our top 3. But like if me and Josh pick the same movie for our top 2, then Josh will pick the next movie on his list. And this way we don't end up like, oh, we all picked Avatar 3 times. So we just talked about Avatar for an hour. This way we cover more movies. And then instead of a 10, we'll just fill out the rest of our list because who cares? It's a podcast.
Right.
So now that everyone's ready
I care a lot about
now that that's been simplified, let's get started. I'm going to go first because I know what I'm talking about. And so,
I've
never seen it.
Do you
On my
though?
list. Show me how it's done.
Like disclaimer, I don't really I don't rank movies like that. Everything that's on my top like 5 could probably be my top 1.
Yeah.
I just like.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna cover the one that
I had in the theater versus like another movie. Like if one was like a more fun experience, I chose that over the other one.
Right. And so I'm gonna pick one that I know no one else is gonna pick. My first choice is Babylon by Damian Lillard or Chillard or whatever. Damien Chazelle.
Chazelle.
Starring Damian Lillard. Starring Margot Robbie. That's it. That's all you need to know. Oh, Brad Pitt is also in there. And there's an annoying Mexican guy in there. Which I can say because I'm also an annoying Mexican guy. Have you guys seen this movie? Josh, you've seen it and you loved it. Tell us about.
I saw it. I'll agree with the first part of that statement.
William, have you seen it?
No, I don't know. It didn't seem that good. And like I really loved Whiplash. And First Man was pretty good. And then La La Land was all right. Like Leslie liked that movie a lot, so it was fun to watch it with her. But I don't know, I just kind of hearing him talk and just things about the movie, it just kind of sounded like just whatever. So I just didn't
Oh,
cared
it's
about it. It was like that in Amsterdam, just slipped out of my view.
Well, see, and I think that's how a lot of people feel. And I think, William, you and Leslie should definitely watch this movie because the reason I liked it so much is that the movie there's a kitty cat in our group chat now. The movie
Oh,
isn't
mm,
is that okay? Is that
like
allowed?
oh yeah. It's about movies and it's about movie making, but it's one of the first movies that I've ever seen where it doesn't like show you what it's really like. It doesn't like, oh, this is what it's really like to make a movie. Instead, it shows you what it really feels like to make a movie. Like the whole movie is like chaotic and kind of like all over the place, and like everyone's rushing for it kind of seems like no reason. And it all feels super important, but then when you kind of like take a step back, you're like, is this shit that important? And I
That's
can't like,
what Babylon was trying to say. Like, kind of
yeah.
okay, that's interesting.
And
That's kind
like
of like Birdman, but Birdman was like, no, this is actually very important.
exactly.
But
And it
that's
kind of like it does it in a roundabout way where by the end because like Birdman, La La Land, they're all about like how important art is. And
yeah,
Babylon does the same thing, but it does it in a roundabout way where it's like the movies that we watch and the movies that we create aren't like we could stop at any point because movies aren't the end of the world. It's the emotion that comes from watching movies. And the only way to do that is to make movies. So it ends up kind of like I guess it's trying to say like, hey, movies aren't the most important thing. The act of like making a movie isn't the most important thing, but the act of viewing a movie and falling in love with the movie, that's where the art's from. And I completely agree with
right.
that.
The active feeling is what's more important.
I don't
Exactly.
disagree, and I will say, like, I mean, are we doing like light spoilers for all these
Yeah, I
movies?
think so.
Um, but like the first like 45 minutes of this movie is like a huge like overindulgent party, and then it kind of goes into the next day of they're on set, and like the set is chaotic, but like it kind of culminates in them getting the perfect shot
Right.
for like their movie
Yeah.
at the end of it. And I was like, up to that, I was like, oh, this is like the best movie I've seen this year. It was one of those things where I was like, this is amazing.
Wow.
But it does very much like kind of go from that like kind of chaoticness to like, okay, and now here's the story of like an actress and actor's like tragic downfall. And it's like 3 hours. So
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like there's a really good 90 minutes. And then there's a really, you've seen this movie a million times 90 minutes, and they're kind of like interspersed, so it's like frustrating to me because I was like, oh, you had such a good tone, and then
Okay.
there's a lot of
Oh
whiplash,
my
so to
god.
speak,
Yeah.
It's
between
it's
Well, there's
tone.
frustrating
a
to
lot of
me
La
to
La
hear
Land first
someone
section.
lie on our podcast as well.
There's a lot of whiplash in
And
La
I
La
well, and I think
Land.
it's that thing where like you party all night, you go to set, you get the shot. That's what
Go.
me and William did. Like half the time we were working in school.
Hell yeah.
That's what we did when we were editing. We would as soon as William got off, we would go have a beer, have a little smoke, and then we
Yeah.
go back to editing the empty space. That's
Yeah.
how movies work.
Yeah.
And that's great, but they also, like
Well,
even
and I
you
think it's like
aren't gonna like, all of it.
Yeah.
there's so much that he wants to say. It kind of feels a little bit like First Man to me, where he does want to say a lot, and then he ends up kind of like losing some of it.
It's almost,
Losing the ship a little
to
bit.
me, it's like the Zack Snyder's Justice League, where it's like, I like this, but I also watched it over the course of like 2 days. Whereas
Yeah.
if I saw it in theaters and it was 4 hours, I'd be like, okay, enough.
Right.
See, well, and I think with
Really like
both of those movies, it kind of answers the question where like I don't like long movies, but if a movie's long and it's worth it, then I had no problem watching Justice League in one sitting. I had no problem watching this one in one sitting.
Yeah.
There's another movie I'm going to talk about that I had no problem watching, and we all know what that one is.
Yeah.
But
One could be.
yeah,
Yeah. Even well,
Babylon.
Babylon can be short. Like
I wa-
Babylon, like okay, this is gonna be fucking long as hell.
yeah,
Just
and
the
I
length.
think it probably helped that I had already heard a lot of the bad reviews, and I knew what the length was before going in there, and I kind of like I made it a whole week where I had to watch Avatar, Babylon, and then I ended up watching like there is a movie called Three Sisters. It's also 3 hours long, and then I saw like Seven Samurai. Just I was like, if we're gonna do this, let's do it.
Just make this my week. Yeah, no, I could see that.
So Babylon, first pick. Okay, now William, you want to go next?
Yeah. So my like I was saying, I put my list in importance of like the best experience I had while watching it, whether that was like it was a great movie or it was really entertaining, just whatever. But my first pick was Tar, and I want to tell you why it was Tar, because that movie Little Children that Todd Field directed like a while back, I've like wanted him to make a new movie for like so long, and I had no idea he was going to make this movie. I thought that it was Todd Haynes the whole time, like the guy who did I'm Not There.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're like laughing behind me right now.
No, no, no. I'm laughing because I agree with you. I had the exact same. Like, I think me and you love Little Children, and
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the movie Little Children. But I did the same thing where I thought, like, I didn't really find Tar. Like, I heard what it was about, and I was like, I don't really want to watch that. And I had just
I didn't
watched
care at all. I didn't give one shit when
two.
that was Todd Haynes. I was
Yeah.
like, Todd Haynes is fine, but he's like not somebody I like really watch.
Exactly. And then once I found out it was the guy who made Little Children, I was like, oh, and then I watched it that night. Like,
Dude, yeah,
immediately watched it.
I didn't find out it was him until his name came up in the credits.
Oh,
Like,
really?
it, and I was like,
Oh,
yeah. Wasn't even asked.
I also found out essentially after. No, this was in my top 3 too. I loved Tar.
Yeah.
It tarred me over, some might say.
I can't believe Todd Field.
It's the same thing. It's so like this is such a boring premise from the outset, and I don't even like love Kate Blanchett the way people do. And I was like, oh, everything won me over. Like it's so good, you know.
She has that cool suit that's like kind of baggy, but like very cool at the same time.
See, to me, I kind of like, I had a weird thing with Tar where I was watching it and I had seen this kind of movie before and I was like, that's pretty good. But then my mom started watching it with me and she kind of came in late and she started like asking questions. And as I was describing like the themes and like what was happening, I was like, oh shit, this movie's a lot smarter than I've given it credit for so far. And it just kind of made me like it. And it kind of made me like, a little bit like Babylon, but not as obvious because Babylon's Babylon. But where the themes are almost hidden, and so you're like, you can watch it at face value, and you still get a good movie. But if you start like really thinking about what they're saying about cancel culture and the way women are perceived, and the way like someone who's being canceled could like not realize what they're doing,
right,
while they're doing it, it's kind of like, oh, this movie is kind of attacking this idea of cancel culture from all sides and giving every perspective.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't even say it's attacking it. I would say it's just like, just truly discussing it.
Yeah.
Like,
analyzing, I guess, like, a better word.
Gray way possible.
Yeah.
Because like, it didn't really
kind of
be like because everyone that I was talking to was like, she's such a fucking villain. Like she's such an asshole, but she's not really that much of like, I mean, she is like, she does some fucked up things, but it also shows that she's just a person who also has a relationship and doesn't really know how to live their life the best and like still eats food and takes a shit. Like, it was like a really good, like open look at somebody who's vilified in the media. And you're like, well, she did suck, but I don't really know the full story ever, you know? I thought that was like it's like the only movie that's like been able to like kind of like look at cancel culture and like not be like canceled itself or like seem disingenuous.
Right. And not and not seem disingenuous is I think the biggest, and I think it does a real good job of like, I think with cancel culture, one of the main things that I don't think we've still figured out is like, is this person an asshole or is this person like, should they be canceled? Because like, I think everyone in the world does some type of asshole things, and like most of us try to correct it or try to fix it. But like, I can't imagine like, you know, saying a joke that I thought was funny and then I realized like, oh, it's actually offensive, but then like losing everything because of that, where it's like, oh, and I think a lot of it is like, you know, the way they handle it, but just the idea that if I make a mistake, there's that chance that you get caught up in this thing, and then, you know, you're trying to explain yourself and you don't really like, you're making it worse, you know? And I think like doing it from this, like, because I kind of do think Tar's a little bit of, I mean, she's definitely an asshole, but like, it's kind of like, and you know, you see,
I mean, she does bully someone into suicide.
Yes, and I think that's fun. But it's kind of that thing where it's like, she's never like, she's kind of come up and built herself up. So it's like, does Tar know that she's now part of a different class of people?
Right. She doesn't know that she's as powerful as she is. She still thinks she's just fucking Linda instead of Lydia, you know?
Right. And I think that happens like at what point, you know, do any of us like if this podcast takes off, at what point do we like is us sliding into someone's DM? I'm the only one who's single, so it's just me. But which one of us sliding into someone's DMs? At what point does that create a power balance? You know, because like right now we have a podcast, but like nobody's like getting wow. Like no girl's like, wow, you got a podcast that 1,000 people listen to. You know,
You meet up with your friends every Saturday.
right? We just call that hanging
Yeah.
out. We don't post that
You're
online.
famous, yeah.
But there will
Um,
be a point if we get more successful where it's like, oh, now your power is kind of taking over. But how do you know when that's going to happen? I think
Right.
this
I think
movie does it.
was-
It's such a smart movie. It's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
And I
and
think it's
Yeah,
also
and
3 hours
also-
long. How long is this?
it also attacks gamers, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
what did it do?
It goes, it calls gamers bad.
Oh,
And as a
yeah.
gamer, I enjoy
Well, and
that it's like, hey, by the way, gamers, fuck you.
Yeah, I've always been dicks.
I'm gonna say like a huge spoiler. So if you want to see it, I would suggest skipping it. But like that to me, that's the perfect way to end this movie because at the end she kind of like ends up having to do like video game music. And the
Yeah.
best thing about it is that job looks like it fucking rocks. But because
Yeah.
it's Tar, like it's her.
Yeah, it's
hell.
like that's like her.
Right.
Yeah.
Such a fucking sellout. Dumb.
Yeah. It's kind of like how, you know, there's like Martin Scorsese thinks that directing a movie, like a Marvel movie, would be the shittiest thing. But like James Gunn loves directing Marvel movies or like comic
Right.
book movies. And it's like different strokes, man. I think that that's the perfect way to end it. It's like,
I
yeah,
know.
she still has a pretty cool job.
I think that the last thing I want to say about it is like what we were just talking about earlier. It's like I think that what this movie also does too is show that like we finally realized that like celebrities are people.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's a very
Yeah.
interesting topic.
And it's
It's like
I do like to like, I don't know, she's very like, oh, she's like the perfect NPR liberal, like I'm a good
Mhm.
person thing.
Right.
So to like
Yeah.
be like, oh, it's about this person, not like, you know, a monster like Roger
Which again-
Ailes. You know, it's
Right.
like
Tar definitely voted for Elizabeth Warren.
yeah.
And see, I think like that, and that's why it made me interesting to watch it because, like, if you've seen Little Children, Todd Field, like, he knows how to make characters that should not be sympathetic without taking out why they're not sympathetic. Like,
Right.
you know, if you look at Three Billboards and then you look at Little Children, like Three Billboards, the racist like learns that racism is bad, and it's like, come on, guys, this is the real world.
Yeah.
But like Little Children, the child molester, he's still a
still
child molester by the end
Yeah.
of it. But you
He's a guy.
understand a little bit more. And he's not asking you to sympathize with this character. He's just presenting him as a human being, which everyone is. And so
Right.
it's kind of like, yeah, it's like that thing that William was saying. Like, once you realize who's directing it and you know that he can handle these kind of characters, you realize that it's going to be a smart take on the subject. And it's not going to be like, you know, oh, look at this person, you know.
Yeah.
Great pick,
was good.
William.
It was good.
Also, our recommendation is to go watch Little Children because that movie rocks.
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like it was a very sleeper type movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Little children.
so
Absolutely.
Josh, now that William has picked Tar, you also had Tar on your list. So now pick another movie that's not Tar.
I gotta go with The Menu.
The Menu.
Mm,
Menu's
Menu's the goat
William,
for
have
me.
you seen The Menu?
seen the menu.
What did you think?
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. What exactly happened at the very end? So
You're not off to a good start on William.
Yeah,
I thought it was
I
okay.
it had like a really cool thing going for it, but there was something that happened that like there was like all of a sudden just like a really big switch that I thought kind of happened out of nowhere.
It bothered you? Was it that she succeeds in escaping?
No, it was like before. It was like whenever she first got like taken back to the kitchen to like talk to Ralph Fiennes for the first time. I think.
Oh, and then you find out she's a prostitute?
Yeah, maybe. I feel like I'm sounding like I've never even seen it. But I thought it was pretty good. I had
William's like, I read the Wikipedia
William
summary.
was like, I like that there was like a menu in it and they like ate food.
I think to me, like, well, it's almost one of those where I guess I appreciate that. How do I put this? Like, obviously, it's like, yeah, that's like a satire of like class and like the restaurant industry and all that. But I almost like that it's almost like a dressed up Saw style movie. Like, he is like a horror movie villain, and
Oh,
like he has like understandable motivations, but it's like more and more absurd as it goes on. You know, like it was just. I guess it was such a wild ride compared to like what I thought it was going to be, if that makes
Yeah.
Yeah,
sense.
I
totally.
think the reason I liked
Um,
it is because it goes all in on like when sometimes when you see these satire movies, like halfway through they kind of drop what they're satirizing so that they can like make a traditional movie, you know?
Yeah,
And this movie, it goes all in into the metaphor. Like it doesn't like the character, even the main character played by Anya Taylor Joy. She's not that likable, but she's kind of like representing like this. You know, like you have Ralph Fiennes on this end, and he's representing this like class, this worker who's willing to like revolution. Like it is time to like start hanging the elites, and then you have the elites on the other side, and then you have the centralist kind of person in the middle, and she doesn't really have any solutions, but she just knows like you shouldn't be killing people, but she's also like not like they're not looking at her like, oh, this is the guiding light. It's more like, no, this person is just trying to survive in the society, and she both doesn't want to become like an elite asshole, but she also doesn't want to go as far as like murdering people to get the system that she
yeah,
wants. And I think like that makes her an unlikable character, but it makes it for a very interesting discussion about what the movie is saying. And I also like
but
that they just did 100% class war movie, because a lot of times when you do class war, you kind of have to bring race into it because race plays such a factor. And
yeah,
so the fact that they isolated on this island and they have like, all these different people kind of makes it focus on the class stuff. And you don't see that often. And so I appreciated that. And
yeah,
everyone's doing a great job acting.
the what I kind of like too is it's not like obviously it's a lot of like, oh, look at how loathsome these like rich people are. They don't like, they don't even like taste the food. They just like being
Right.
in like the exclusive restaurant.
yeah.
But the most unlikable person in the movie is not Rich. He's Tyler, the one she comes with,
He's
Oh
super
yeah,
rich.
who no, he's like he's obsessed with food stuff, but he's like kind of upper middle class. He's not like a millionaire like the
yeah.
rest of
He's
them.
just like a
Okay.
Um, and he essentially like brings her along because he needs a plus one, but he's so hateable, and I love when they just make a character that hateable in a
yeah,
And he's
movie.
like hateable in the best way because he's hilarious. Like every time they cut to him, you're just kind of like, because he's so goofy.
yeah,
But he's like, doesn't, and that's the cool thing is like, he doesn't see her as a person, and that comes out, but it comes out in a very realistic, like, oh, I'm only going to bring this up when I'm mad at you to like make a point. And it kind of like, yeah, I just,
yeah,
but like
the
what you
acting
find
is
out,
on
and,
point.
and this is like a spoiler, is that he's the only one who actually knew what was going to happen, but he's so desperate for clout that he's like, I'm okay that we're all going to die as long as I get to like post this all to like Instagram,
Yeah.
like
right. Yes.
yeah, to have the ultimate like
Or-
foodie Instagram experience. So I don't know, living in
Yeah,
Portland, you
yeah,
definitely know those types of people.
Yeah.
yeah,
So, but
yeah.
yeah,
It was like that.
Those great
excellent all
people.
around. Ray Fiennes knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, and I
You
could
know,
see people like if you are not down for that metaphor and you're like actually watching it for characters, I could see you kind of being annoyed just because there's not really
because
like,
it's so
yeah, every
ridiculous.
character
Yeah,
is like they're the one note that they come in on, and it just kind of
yeah. The most unrealistic part is, I believe a head chef would be that crazy, but no way would like the kitchen staff who are all like chain smoking in the back
Yeah,
care that much about
yeah.
what
yeah,
was going.
If anything, they'd be trying to kill the chef to be like the new chef.
Yeah, they'd be like, I'll just go work at another restaurant for another asshole.
and not get credit for fucking anything.
Yeah, no, that's a
Yeah,
good choice. Good choice. Okay, it's my turn, and see, this is where it starts to become tough because like do I pick a movie that there's a pretty good chance other people are going to pick so we don't skip it, or do I
Yeah,
pick a movie that nobody's going to talk about so that we can talk about it? I'm going to take a very strong leap of faith and pick one that I hope is on everyone's list, and I'm going to go with Jordan Peele's Nope is my second pick.
hmm.
Which here's the thing. I like the movie in general, but there's two giant things that I'm scared of. The first thing is getting stuck, and the second thing is being sticky. And in this movie, there's like a big alien and he sucks people up, and there's like a scene where they're all trapped and they can't move like past their shoulders, and they're screaming and they're
oh
all wet and sticky. And that scene was so terrifying to me because I
yeah,
don't like either of those things. And putting myself in that position, I was like, oh, I would have died already. I would have had like a heart attack.
Yeah.
See, I thought you meant getting stuck, like how they have like a dead end business that they have no real way out of.
Clearly, I'm not scared of that.
But no, I liked Nope a lot too. I thought it was great, well constructed.
Mhm.
Um,
Funny.
And
I
yeah, funny. I kind of think also that this is like Jordan Peele, like Get Out's cool and Us is cool, but they're not really that scary. And this is like him kind of getting better at producing scares, you know?
Mhm.
Where like there's that scene where he sees like an owl creature in the barn, where I was like, oh shit, that's fucking scary as hell. And it turns out to be like a prank or whatever. But
Oh,
it was shot really well, and it kind of like the scares worked. We're in Get Out, and I think it's very much because of the story Get Out's telling. It's more of like the social aspect.
yeah, it's
But
like a
in Get
thriller.
Out, yeah, it's not that scary. Like I was never like freaked out by what was like I was like intrigued as what was gonna happen, but I wasn't like scared of like what was
Yeah.
gonna happen, you know.
And it's funny, both the movies you picked are about like the nature of Hollywood spectacle and how it like ruins
Oh yeah,
people's lives.
totally.
Again,
Everyone's scared.
William, what did you think? Did you like Nope, William?
I thought Nope was pretty good. I actually kind of disagree though. I thought that Nope was like the least scary one that he's made.
Really?
Yeah, like maybe Get Out's not scary, but I definitely felt more like thrilled. I think with Us and Get Out, I definitely like Nope a lot for sure. But something about the West, just like that's where we're
Mm.
from. I'm just like so comfortable around it that it's like it's really hard for me to be like scared in like Western horror things like Bone
You're
Tomahawk.
just like flying saucer. Just get in my car.
Yeah,
We're good.
exactly. Like I could manage this. I could get away. I would know what to do. So yeah, but for some reason, like the Old West and like genre mashups, just like it's too familiar for me, so it sometimes doesn't like really connect. But I will say that the
See,
alien stuff on the set, on like the TV set, like that was some
One of
oh
the
really
best scenes of
yeah,
last year, yeah. Yeah. So
that
and
is
like
terrifying. Yeah, I was gonna say that is the scariest scene in
there
any of his movies to
easily.
me.
there's two
'Cause-
scenes that I think cemented how much I like this movie. And the first one is there's that scene where they're like looking at the camera footage and they notice the cloud and it's not moving and all the other clouds are moving. It's like a time lapse. And
Mm,
I always like it when they find a way to present that there's an alien or a ghost or whatever in a new way that we haven't noticed before. And it's
yeah,
kind of like that was like it's such a simple thing, and you'd think that another movie would have done it, but no one else has. And I
right.
was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, that's super cool. And then the second thing is that there's that guy from Walking Dead. I think his name's Stephen Young. Is it Young? Stephen Yao?
Stephen Yoon.
Yeah,
Stephen
yeah.
Yoon. Yeah,
Yoon.
Stephen Yoon. Like everyone talks about what a good actor he is, and I like haven't seen Myanmar yet or Minari.
Minari. It is good.
Yeah, and I've seen a
But
couple of
yeah.
his other things, and like he's always done a pretty good job. But like, I mean, but one of those things was like The Walking Dead, so like no one's doing that good a job. But this movie was like
Yeah.
so like his performance is so like spot on. And then there's that scene where he's
Yeah.
talking about what happened in the studio, and he's talking about it like he's framing it by describing an SNL skit so that he doesn't actually have to talk about what happened to him. And
Yeah.
that's really smart way to do it. But the like him describing that skit, like when he was like, and the person playing the monkey, and like before he said that it was Chris Kattan, I said that it was Chris Kattan, and like
Yeah.
that like cemented it in the
Yeah.
real world for me because SNL would 100% cast Chris Kattan
Right.
as the evil monkey guy, and
Yeah.
so it's like it cemented in the real world, and it just like elevated that movie to me.
Totally.
Yeah, no, it felt very like believable, like lived in, like that this is real people encountering this. Although the TMZ guy is a bit over the
I
top,
love
but I
it.
enjoyed
Yeah.
because I feel like the TMZ guy would be that much of an asshole.
Yeah, or he like doesn't
Or
want to
the
tell you anything.
the cinematographer too.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
But you've probably known a lot of cinematographers like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, all of them,
Yeah.
including me.
Yeah. The funny electronics store dude when he was like, I'm sorry, I was kind of a dick at the store, and the sister was like, "You were fine," but it was like that little detail was fucking hilarious. Like he just
And I
felt
do like. Oh, go ahead.
that's it. Is he just felt bad for being a dick, wanted to get it out of the open.
And I do like that they start to like him, but he never becomes less annoying. Like you just kind of endear yourself to his annoyingness, which is how most friendships work anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I thought it was real good. I think it's probably my favorite of his films. Because like I saw it again and I was like, oh yeah, this movie rocks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely cool. And it's like that thing where
I just like used to be M Night Shyamalan. Now it's Jordan Peele. But it feels like every generation there's like the horror, the summer horror movie director who like he's the only one who gets to make a horror movie with like the huge budget and it
Yeah,
gets to be a summer blockbuster.
totally.
And it's cool that it's Jordan Peele and he's like coming out with these unique
I
like
know.
what like the fact that we don't even know what the movie's about before we go watch it is super cool. And like
Yeah,
But like people are hyped for it,
Yeah.
which you really don't get for like,
yeah.
yeah, like I saw this movie first showing on Friday. Like that's how hyped I was for it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, super cool.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah,
Shit.
nope, go watch it. Who is William? Is it your turn?
It is my turn.
You're up.
Okay. So I also have sort of a conundrum similar to yours, but I'm
That's what
gonna
makes
go.
it fun.
I'm gonna go for the risk because you guys may or may not have this one on there, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. But Crimes of the Future. Did you guys see that?
Oh
No.
no, I don't have it on my list.
Sleeper. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I just watched this
Surprised
morning.
it's in your top,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I thought it was good. I thought it was like it definitely had a cool, very like '90s gross David Fincher vibe.
Yeah,
Plus, just like all the crazy like, fucking Cronenberg stuff coming back, all the suctiony things and orifices. Like that.
It did make me uncomfortable
Yeah.
a lot.
He would like try to swallow his food by like pushing his throat down. Like that was so fucking gross.
yeah,
And it's like it's weird. It's cool that his son is making these like weird movies too. So it's like they're trying to have this like battle of like who can be the most fucked up. And it's like I will buy every ticket that I can. Like
yeah.
that's-
And that was so funny because I walked out of Infinity Pool and I was like telling my dad, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if like Cronenberg's son was just making like romantic comedies? Like,
yeah, just this like real chill shit.
yeah, like just like he made like the Babysitters Club, and his dad is like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I liked Crimes of the Future. It wasn't my favorite just because I felt like it felt like a lot of Cronenberg movies where I kind of wish we followed Kristen Stewart's character more than Viggo
Mm,
Mortensen.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's a weird like this is like a weird jump, but my one kind of issue with it is inside Llewyn Davis,
Mhm.
how there's this like through line of like him having to find a missing cat.
yeah,
And then the Coen brothers were like, oh, after we filmed it, we realized we really didn't need like a through line for this. And him being like a police informant almost felt like that. It's like that doesn't need
Oh,
to be
I
there.
know.
Like
Confusing. I was like,
like
Yeah.
what is it?
it's almost like he forgot about it,
Yeah.
until the end. He's like, by the way, he's this.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
anything, Kristen Stewart being the police informant would have that would have
Right.
been a more like, oh, she's coming into the world. But no, I don't know. I liked it a lot though. I feel like almost like the opposite of Nope. How Nope feels very like lived in. This almost feels like a bad, like a nightmarish fairy tale. You know what I mean? Like of like it's more about themes than about realism. To me.
Yeah, it's really
So.
constructed. Like
Yeah.
it could be in anyone's dream at all. Yeah, very very much not set in reality whatsoever. Well, like
And
it was
I
like a
guess-
weird teaser too. It was like everything was like alive. Like it was like organic looking, which was kind of fucked up.
Yeah, and I think it's just
Yeah.
cool that Cronenberg came back after a while and was like, "Oh, I can still do this." Like
Yeah.
just jump back into my world, and I think that's why I probably unfairly judged it a little bit more than I should have, just because I love Cronenberg stuff, and so I watch everything he makes, and it felt very Cronenbergy, which shouldn't be a detraction, but to me, I was like, I just watch Videodrome instead.
Yeah, it was very much a throwback to that time period too, like that kind of body horror mixed with like the sex stuff from Crash, like
Yeah,
a mishmash of Videodrome and Crash.
it did feel like the first time where, because like you have two Cronenbergs, you have like the one who explores like sexuality and dramas, like even History of Violence kind of does this, and then you have
Yeah.
like the hey, what if your TV ate you? And
Yeah.
this was kind of like the mix between
Totally.
both of them, and so I thought that was super
Yeah.
And I mean,
That's-
the fact that he uses Viggo Mortensen in such a unique way every time he does, like he picks him and he picks a role that Viggo Mortensen can play, and then he makes Viggo Mortensen do a lot of work to play that character.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just cool. Like to like test the actor's limits is great. And Viggo Mortensen is an actor who
I
can
know.
like match you.
Always delivers. Yeah.
So
But it was also
Yeah.
about how
Yeah.
glitz and glamour destroys lives.
Yeah.
Just like
No, that's true.
the
Yeah.
anti-Babylon.
yeah, I wanted to bring one of my own to the party.
Yeah.
This is fun to play.
Yeah, that was unexpected. I didn't expect that one, but that was cool. That was a good choice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went with that one. With the
Yeah.
risk.
It was the
Um,
risk.
yeah, it was a risk. Joshua?
I'm gonna go with, um, we don't have to talk about Avatar, so I'm gonna go with Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, that was on my list too, for
Yeah,
sure.
that was on my list.
Yeah.
It's one, it's just one of those movies, like, I don't know, it's definitely a movie where you're like, oh, this was a play, and apparently it's like the third in his plays he's written about Inisherin, but he's like, I'll just make this a movie,
Yeah.
which to me it's his best movie. Like,
I
I'm very
agree.
like,
Agreed.
I mean,
But to each his own.
I guess,
Hey, have you seen In
I
Bridges? Come on.
guess I've seen In Bruges and Three Billboards or whatever, was a low point for me, but
I know.
I don't know. This is just raw,
Else was not great.
Yeah. Did he
raw
do
acting.
and I think the thing I liked about this is after I watched it and I really liked it, I was like, this movie was legit about like just two guys talking and disagreeing, like it didn't have
Yeah.
like they made it have high stakes, but for no real reason, just because they're psychopaths. And I think that's like
And
I miss those kind of movies.
but even like with kind of the absurdity of like the escalation, you've been on both sides of this
Mhm.
friendship before, where you're just like, hey, I'm really busy, don't talk to me for like a month, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you've been like the other guy, where like, what the fuck, why isn't he like responding,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I
agree.
think it's that weird thing where you don't. I don't know. William, go ahead. I lost my train of
I thought it was. I thought because In Bruges was just so good. It's like one of the best movies ever. And it was. I always kind of felt bad that Seven Psychopaths wasn't that great, and then Three Billboards was just okay. I mean, a lot of people do like them, so I'm not trying to talk shit, but I feel like this was like definitely a return to form for
Yeah.
Martin McDonough. Like I
And
watched.
me,
yeah.
This is what I
me
wanted.
and William like went out of our way to go see Seven Psychopaths. Like we were so excited to see that movie in theaters. We were in
Yeah,
LA at the
it's in
time,
North Hollywood.
and we just like afterwards we were just sitting there, and we were like, William was like, I don't think that movie was good, and I was like, oh, thank God, that movie.
Yeah.
It was like that thing.
Well, that
It
was.
just was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, we were like
I actually
so
haven't seen
excited,
it.
and then afterwards it was like, do I want to ruin this for William? Or and like I think William was thinking the same thing. Like, just want
Yeah,
to talk about how bad it was, and then
yeah,
and I'm glad that he's kind
That
of come
was.
back because I also didn't like Three Billboards, so this was
yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Like, well, and I think with Three Billboards, it's like he's trying to write like about like the deep South, and it's
He
like,
doesn't know.
is this really your wheelhouse? Like, it's not really. It felt very like pastiche, but
Yeah.
this is like, okay, Ireland,
No.
like you're in it.
Right.
This is like the two most Irish actors of all time.
Yeah.
You know?
So realistic. It really felt like you were like in that time, like just that, and like this is sort of a jump, but like in the Northman too, like they both really put you in like that time period, which I think if when a filmmaker could do that, like go so hard on like details and like architecture and accents and stuff, it's like
Mhm.
that's so badass. It's always so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But what I like too, though, is that like because of just how this is just this remote island village, it's like until they said like halfway through, it's like, oh, it's just right at the beginning of like the Irish Civil War or whatever. It's like
Right.
this could have taken place in the
I
1800s
know.
or like in
Yeah.
1890, because it's like that's how those places really are,
Right.
And
Rural.
I think one of the good things about it is like everything Colin Farrell does. Also, Colin Farrell looks handsome as hell, and I like when he uses his Irish accent. But everything he does, I just took like a second to simp on Colin Farrell for no reason.
You're like, by the way,
Wait,
just a fan cam right in the middle of this
did you see
YouTube
what he
of Colin
was
Farrell.
talking? I saw that pants. That was an imprint. Everything he does to like he's trying to understand why the friend doesn't want to talk to him, but he never actually doesn't stop talking to him. And I feel like that's something I would do. Like, but why don't you want to talk to me? And like you keep trying to like, and then when you find out, you're like, okay, I get it. But like like you keep trying, and like
Right.
it's just such an
It's an
interesting
unsolved problem.
yeah, exactly.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great
but
movie.
well, it's very like the other guy who's like he's like, I think I could be a musical genius, but you can kind of tell like he's not quite there. But you're like, we've all wanted to be like, look, I need to focus on this, and like just I can't be distracted by anything because
Yeah.
I'm going to get it done.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
see, and like to me, I'm famously like I'll text anyone wherever because my job like allows me to like gives me the opportunity to be annoying. But once we start filming, like on my actual films, even if it's a short or feature, whatever, I go ghost. Like I don't text anyone because you're so busy that you
Yeah.
just don't think about it. And so like I tell people
You like
like
you have to have
it's
it.
gonna
Yeah.
be a, a like 180 turn because I like on the empty space I broke up with someone because I was not texting them at all and they got like pissed and I was like I had to tell them like it's I'm not gonna start texting you like we're on day 2 and
Yeah.
Dave and we're in the middle of White Sands and we're stuck so it's not gonna get better from here and so
Yeah.
I feel
Right.
like I sympathize with both of them and so yeah it's a very smart very interesting movie and a very simple movie which I always like.
Yeah.
Yeah, very straightforward. It is deeply sad, and there is a bad animal death for people who that bothers them because that bothers me, and that's a rough one. But I feel
Yeah.
like it's worth it. You know.
Yeah. Made sense in the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Good choice.
Yeah.
I guess I have to do it because Josh ruined everything. Sorry, men. You have to wait. Sorry, man. You're taking a back seat because we cannot not talk about this and not give our props to the king of cinema himself, Mr. James Cameron.
Mr.
So
James.
my number
I mean,
one pick is
he's so
Avatar:
effortlessly good at
The
everything.
Way of
That's why I didn't
Water.
want to talk about
Yeah,
it
it's
because
perfect.
What is there to be said?
he kills it. And I guess it's to me, it's almost as you're watching Avatar, you're reminded like, oh, blockbusters can be like this
Yeah,
good. Like I don't know, after years of Marvel movies, I'm almost like you have to like take it with a caveat that it's going to look kind of shitty and
Yeah.
there's going to be like 5 mid-credit scenes, but you're like, no, this is just
This is a good
a
movie.
singular vision, you know?
Right.
well, and see, the reason I liked it is because I remember watching Avatar in theaters, and I really liked it. And I took Abby, who's been on the podcast before, and she was like, "Yeah, it was okay," and I was like, "What?" And like I think I saw it, like 3 times in theaters, and then like by the time it got out of theaters, I didn't really think about it. I didn't watch it again because I was like, the whole experience is just a theater experience. And so it took me a while to go watch this movie. I wasn't like super pumped. I just wanted to watch it because I love James Cameron. And the movie starts. And I was like, oh, yeah. I love James Cameron because he makes fucking bomb movies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this movie was fucking amazing. Like everything works. I think, like to me, a lot of it. I want to go back and rewatch the first one, but a lot of it works better than the first one. Like there's scenes. There's a scene like halfway through where they like come out of the water, and I was like, how are they? How is the water not washing their makeup off? And then I was like, oh, this isn't. They're not. They're not wearing makeup. These are. I'm watching a cartoon right now, and nothing's
I
real.
had like I had that too because a lot of the movies about like their kids, and if you told me like, hey, this
Mhm.
is a movie about tribal cat children for the most part, I'd be like, that sounds really lame and boring, and
Yeah.
it's not somehow. But like an hour in, I was like, man, they did really good casting on Jake Sully's kids because they look a lot like him. Then I was like, no, wait, this is all CGI.
Yeah.
Like my brain literally forgot that for like a second.
Yeah, it just
That's fucking
works on
hilarious.
every level. It's fun. It has a good message about like, how much we take from the earth and how much we should be
Kill
giving.
whalers,
Kill whalers.
kill every whaler. Yeah.
Yeah.
He manages to sneak another dumb mineral name in there for no reason, just to like spite everyone.
Oh, and I love the part whenever Jake Sully was like, I've been out here for so long, the Navi language just sounds like English to me. And then all of a sudden everyone just speaks fucking
Yeah,
English.
Right. Oh, what a good
it
conceit. I
does.
love it.
Like, yeah, it's
It's
and
like,
then there.
bro.
And even like afterwards, like there's a scene where they like you go through the village and you're like watching like it does like a essentially like a drone shot through the entire village and you just see as an introduction to the water town. And like apparently Disney was like, "Hey, can you cut this scene out? It has no relevance." And James Cameron was like, "No, because it's cool and that's the relevance to my movie." And it's like you forget like 'cause especially with the way cinema sins and some of this critiques on film has become where like the sex scene thing is a good example of it where they're like, oh, sex scenes aren't even relevant to the plot. And it's like James Cameron's going to come in and show you like, oh, if this shot looks good, the relevance to the actual plot doesn't matter as much as the relevance to the world and the story you're learning. Like you could have just shown that island thing in one shot and then started on the drama, but letting us like go around the whole town you get to see the environment, you get to feel like it's a real place that people live in, and it
Yeah.
just adds so much more to the movie than just like the static shot of the outside town and then we jump straight into the whatever's going on, the
Yeah.
story, you know.
It's like he like understands that vibes are
Yeah.
important, and I
Yeah.
almost feel like most modern like big budget films have almost been like, just got to pack in the plot and this
Yeah.
character, and
Like if you look at
that kind of
you know,
thing.
not to shit on Sam Raimi, but if you look at Doctor Strange, the part where they're like the cool part where they're going through the multiple universes, if you were like looking down at your Coke, you're gonna miss that shot, you know, because and like that part's so cool. And I don't blame Sam Raimi. I don't think it was Sam Raimi at all, but I wish that we were able to spend more time in these worlds, but we can't because we have to get to like whatever they're fighting in Doctor Strange. I don't even remember. And James Cameron, like, he almost does it the opposite way, where he's like, "Oh yeah, there's like a bad guy in this." I was having too much fun with my whale friends. And also, kudos to James Cameron for he like made that jungle movie, and you know he loves the water, and he's like, the next movie we're gonna spend 2 seconds in the jungle, and then we're out of there. We're on the
Yeah.
beach.
Yeah.
He loves it, the most, like near the end when it's literally them swimming through sinking,
Right.
like a sinking aircraft carrier or whatever. It's like this is every James Cameron thing at
Yeah.
once. He's just clowning on like every other artist.
It's still good, isn't it?
I really like too, like he likes Stephen Lang so much. He's like, he's the villain again.
Yeah.
I don't care if he died. He's back as an avatar, baby.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, there's this
and he's
kid-
great. Yeah, and his kid Spider. Yeah.
Yeah.
His funny friend Spider, who deserves to die. But yeah, no, it's a good movie. It's my favorite. It's probably my favorite movie of the year. I was like out of it, and I'm fully on board the Avatar fandom, and I cannot wait for Avatar 3. This time we're figuring out a way to go more into water.
Now they're gonna go to a
Also,
volcano. I heard.
there's no way he's not gonna have a lot of water in the next.
There's gonna be water, obviously.
Also, it's so funny when you watch the behind the scenes because he like films everything in the water, and like they asked them, they're like, why did you film it in the water when like Aquaman and other movies are filming it like in studios and CGI? And then he replied, he was like, oh, maybe because it's cool. And then you see the actors talking, and they're like, oh yeah, we almost drowned like 10 times. I don't know why.
Yeah. It was cool.
But it was cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
Avatar. I don't know if anyone's
This
seen
is why
it.
I saw it. Oh, once.
me seeing I saw Black Panther before Avatar, the Black Panther 2, where a lot of it takes place underwater. And that was a good move because as I was watching that movie, I was like, this is fine. Like, it looks okay. And then I watched Avatar, I was like, oh yeah, it can look amazing. Like, you can make this look amazing instead of just okay, you know?
Hell
See,
yeah.
I did the
So-
opposite, and I watched Black Panther afterwards, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
I still haven't watched it.
no, well, and it's tough because in comparison, it's just like it's not.
It'll never, no Marvel movies ever looked as good as the first Avatar, let alone this one.
No
So,
Marvel movies looked
you
as
know.
good as Terminator 2, Judgment Day,
Well,
except for
he's the goat.
except for
What can you say?
Doctor Strange 2, Multiples of Madness. Yeah, that was my number one. So now, William,
Oh, are we going in reverse order?
I don't know. I'm just wait. Whose turn is it next?
It was,
No,
it's,
it's
No,
your
it was
turn.
you. It is you, William. It's your final pick.
so mine. I'm gonna
Make it a
go
good
I
one.
guess. I kind of went out of order on my little list here.
Yeah, I've been going out of order the whole time. I
Yeah,
just did
me too,
Avatar because
yeah.
I know it's number one.
Avatar is kind of the best. I mean,
Yeah, I put Avatar as my number 10.
Okay.
wow.
What's it? Min.
Wow.
I'm gonna go Min.
Yay! That was the one that I had to skip.
Owen Wilson.
I know, and it's like
Yeah.
it was between that or the Northman. I just watched the Northman yesterday, and I just mostly liked it. I didn't love it,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go with Min because that was fucking great.
Tell us why you liked it so much, William. Tell us why you hate men.
Why do I hate men? I thought it was like really good how they kind of like tried to disguise, but also didn't try to disguise that it was the same dude.
Mhm.
Like right away, like they didn't like really, like you kind of know what's going on immediately, but
Right.
like this lady still has to live through it. But also just like whenever she was in that tunnel and she made that song with herself and like the notes kept on repeating. Like I've listened to that on Spotify like so many times since watching that movie. It's like always just like so chilling. And I don't know, I'm just like I'm an Alex Garland like super fan. I love everything that he's ever done. And this isn't my favorite Alex Garland movie, but I just feel like he is the kind of person who can take on cool issues or ideas, and I don't know. Oh, he always turns everything into like a bloody mess at the very end, and I feel like
Yeah,
this is the weirdest bloody mess he's ever made.
yeah, you definitely did it.
So experimental with it. So it was good. I liked it a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, see, and so I saw Men in the summer because I was very excited for it, but I ended up watching it in the summer when it came out because I don't think it was playing anywhere near me, and then I liked it a lot, but I kind of like had forgotten why I liked it, and so I saw it again like this week, and that's what kind of made me realize, like that song that William was saying that he listens to. I've been singing that song like since I saw it last week
Yeah.
or like 2 days ago. Yeah, it's just so creepy.
I know, it's so fucked up.
And I think the reason I like it is because so many movies about like women being harassed by men are kind of like they're trying to do it, but this is the first one that I've watched at least where you kind of understand why even like a priest talking to you and they don't say anything necessarily too bad. It's just kind of the way they carry themselves, kind of where
Right.
they place their hands that makes it uncomfortable. And I think that's why it's so hard for women to like describe harassment because like, oh yeah,
Everything.
there was a kid and he wanted me to play a game and it's like, okay, what's the problem? And it's like it's not anything they said. It's not anything they necessarily did. It's just the way they say it, the way they carry themselves.
Yeah.
And Men does that better than any movie I've seen. And it's like, ooh, like this is uncomfortable. Like there's so much of that movie that there's not a lot happening. And credit to I think her name's Jessie Bunkley, who does like an amazing job, but
Yeah, she's great.
it's creepy. Like as soon as she enters that tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't ever stop being creepy.
Yeah.
And
He's the first guy, and that's just like downhill from there.
And so like and there's like a lot of scenes where like kind of like when we're the almost the opposite of where Jordan Peele to me has been getting better. Like Alex Garland knows how to set up a scary shot and he
Yeah.
knows how to like lead you into it. Like he almost holds your hand
Yeah.
and it's like it's so good. Like
Right.
it's such a good idea and I love the fact that they're all played by the same guy. What it's saying about our society
Yeah.
and the ending, which I don't even want to spoil because you need to watch it. It wouldn't even make sense if we try to spoil it.
Yeah. It's just absurd. It's so crazy.
But
While you guys were watching Men, I was paying attention to women talking. So I actually haven't seen either movie.
Well,
I did want to see women talking, but again, it didn't come out near me.
I'm just calling you out.
Yeah.
No, I think that was good. Well, oh yeah, Josh, you haven't seen it. That's why. But no, it's a good movie, and especially if you like creepy sci-fi. I don't know why it gotten such a bad response from like critics.
Wait, is it like sci-fi?
no.
I guess is that a
Not
spoiler?
really. No, it's not really sci-fi. It's just kind of
It
like
looks really British from this
yeah,
thing that
it's
I'm saying.
more. I
It's
don't
like
even know.
weird. It's like a weird, weird tale.
Are
Like, you know what
is
I
any
mean?
movie starring British
I'll
people
tell you
kind of a
this.
horror movie?
If I saw it in the sci-fi like thing, if I saw it in the horror genre, if I saw it in the thriller genre, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, like it fits so many different genres.
All right. All right.
Yeah, it's definitely not a crowd pleaser, but the like the structure of the movie is like just a traditional horror movie, like a traditional kind of like slasher. But it, like once like the slashing happens, you're just like, what the fuck? Like I had no idea. Like I saw the poster and I was like, that poster looks fucking awesome. I saw Alex Garland, I was like, yeah, I'm fucking in. But yeah, I was I was very surprised at the end. I was like,
Yeah.
it was fucking crazy. It was good.
Honestly, that's why I mean I knew we were doing this show and I wanted to watch it to see where it ended up on my list. But another reason I wanted to watch it is because like I wanted like every once in a while you want to watch a movie where it begins and where it ends are so different
Yeah.
that like you're just like entrapped the whole time because you literally don't know what's going to happen next because it's so all over the place. Kind of like Crimes of the Future or David Cronenberg in general. And so you like that's how this movie feels. And I like that Alec Garland doesn't make again like it's funny that all of Williams' picks match this description, but all of these directors do not make crowd pleasers. They're making movies that you either are going to like or not like, but they're
Yeah.
making what they want to make, and I'll always applaud that. And that's perfect.
Yeah.
And like most of the time they hit. Like this movie works, and I'm a man, and I don't ever want to talk to men again.
I know. I fucking hate myself.
I hate men now.
And Alex Jones was like, I do too, but we've got to learn, boys.
Yeah.
I'm trying, Alex. I think we do okay,
Yeah.
but we can do better.
Yeah. We gotta help more. Josh, what is your number one and why is it Thor Love and Thunder?
This is actually okay. I should say we've burned through my top three, and I actually did have The Northman on my list too because I do think it's a good movie, but I would put this movie slightly above it with a caveat.
Okay.
'Cause my third pick is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And here's the thing. At least an hour of this movie is annoying or unfunny comedy that does not land, but I think the rest of it is so good that it almost like it's like, oh, it shouldn't be that good considering how annoying I found certain parts of it. Does that make sense?
No.
I would 100% agree with. I have like an extra 6 movies after my top 10, and that's the
Yeah.
last one on there. But I was like, there were some fucking gold moments in there.
Yeah,
Like, I wasn't bored ever.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, obviously it's like inventive and it's like a multiverse thing, and it's like, okay, it's like obviously funny. I'm not trying to shit on Marvel constantly, but it's like, it
Yeah.
was also released next to like a multiverse movie for Marvel, Doctor Strange.
Right.
It's like, oh, it's so much better because it's like saying something, but like there's like a 10-minute scene of like a guy fighting with like a dildo in his ass, and I'm like, this is not like this joke isn't landing at all.
Yeah.
But it's like in any other movie that would be the death, like the kiss of death, to be like, I hated it. But there's so much like so many good themes and like just interesting imagery and stuff in this that
Yeah.
it like it overcomes all of its like handicaps.
Yeah.
Well,
I would say the same for even Swiss Army Man. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of a similar vibe. Like, it was so creative.
Yeah, but that didn't overcome it for me.
Oh, okay.
So that's
for me, because I had this movie on my number 10, and the reason is like we're talking about this earlier, but like if you've seen the movie Moon with Sam Rockwell, it kind of feels to me like this movie where I like this movie a lot. I have no problems with it, but I've seen a lot of multiverse movies or a lot of multiverse stories in general. Just being a fan of sci-fi, and so this movie felt like a really good one, but it didn't elevate it in any way, and it's kind of like. I feel a little bit bad for not, for kind of punishing it for not elevating the genre that it's in. But at the same time, because I've seen so many of these movies, there was a lot of parts that just kind of felt like generic. And I
like,
think,
where like you kind of know what's gonna happen, right?
and I think
Yeah.
if you haven't seen a lot of these type of or these type of stories, because a lot of them are online or like in books or comic books, but if you haven't seen it, this probably would have blown you away. Like, oh my god, this is amazing. But for me,
Right.
because I've seen a lot of times, it's kind of like when I watched Rosemary's Baby. By the time I watched it, I had seen a lot of those type of movies, so it felt generic, even though technically it's
was
the first one who did it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but I can't stop when I saw it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Totally.
that's
Yeah,
how I felt about it.
I get that too, and I do think like there is like an element of like the whole like the way it works is very like, okay, I know what you're doing, like
Right.
that's fine, but I don't know. I also just feel like the two like her and then the husband Kei Hai Kwang,
Yeah.
short round from Indiana Jones, so good. Like
Yeah,
it's
they
such a
were.
good like dynamic between the two of
Yeah,
them.
and I
you
I
know?
do like that they like this happens a lot, and I know me and William eventually have talked about doing an episode on the Corruptor, but this happens a lot with Asian stars where they come to the United States and they just put them in these generic one note movies where like you have Michelle Yeoh and you have like Chow Yun Fat, and those guys are great actors, and even Jackie Chang's a really good actor when you give him material, and so it's cool to see her in a role in America that's actually worthy of like her acting abilities. And so that's cool.
Yeah.
And I like overall the movie's well done. Like I have nothing bad to say about it. It's
Yeah.
just
People really responded to it. A lot of people
Yeah.
like were brought to tears.
and I think like
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
And I
it's
love the message, and I
yeah.
think that's why it like even though to me I've seen this story told a bunch, the fact that like the human parts of it elevated it enough that it's on my top 10.
Yeah.
So
And
good overall.
to me, too, like, because I've also seen a lot of stuff like that, and it's almost like with like, if you've seen a lot of time travel movies, most of them are so shitty that you're like, oh, they just got it right. When you do see a good one, that you're almost like respect it more. You're like, oh, you didn't
Yeah.
fuck up your own premise.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
good job, Daniels, not messing up your own premise.
Yeah.
So
You guys made-
guys, that was our top 9. So instead of doing the top 10, although now I'm thinking about, we should just add Avatar as our top, as all of our ones.
Yeah,
But
you should have
anyway,
picked
we're
something
gonna go
else.
through the rest of our list. And so the ones that I didn't have was I had Emily the Criminal, which is like a good old fashioned thriller. I had the only two that I had 3 that we didn't talk about, and that was Emily the Criminal, The Northman, which you guys mentioned. But I also, and it's that thing where it's like it's good, but the reason I like it is kind of dumb, so I don't want to talk about it. And
Yeah.
then and then Deadstream, which is a Shutter exclusive, but it feels very, it's about like a streamer who runs into demons, but it feels very Sam Raimi, and I really appreciated it. But
Oh,
it
yeah.
wasn't like better than like the ones I talked about. But it's still good. I think you should guys go watch all those movies. Check
Yeah.
them out. William, fill us in on the rest of your list.
Well, I put the Batman on there, which I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
like Batman.
I liked
I
it.
thought it was
It was
okay.
also it shouldn't have been 3 hours. It had the
Yeah, it was.
Babylon problem for me.
Yeah. I like that it had. I feel like I talk about Fincher a lot on this podcast, but I feel like it had that kind of like Fincher's 7,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of people talked about that. I thought that was pretty entertaining.
You liked it because you personally relate to the Riddler.
Yeah.
You're also an incel, is what I'm saying.
Also, the Riddler had less followers than we have. So take that, Riddler.
I know. They're like, he has 100 followers. It's like, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, did you guys see the movie Windfall? That had like Jason Segel.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
the guy who
yeah.
broke into-
Oh, yeah, that was good.
that was really good.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
The Northman.
That was like a Netflix movie, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't hear about it until I saw it on Netflix randomly.
Yeah, I think it is a Netflix exclusive.
Yeah.
That's one of those where you're like, oh, good job, Netflix. You
Right.
made a good movie this time.
Because that guy did that. Did you guys ever see that movie, The One I Love? I think is what it was called.
It's the same director.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I watched it. To be honest.
Yeah, I didn't know that until afterwards.
I
I was
think
like,
I
oh,
know,
I
man.
can see that.
I think
Yeah, The Northman. I put Barbarian on there.
Oh, yeah, Barbarian's good.
Yeah,
I liked it.
yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, and Kimmy. Did you guys see Kimmy on HBO?
Oh yeah, Soderbergh.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
I thought that was
90
okay.
minutes.
Yeah, it was like a short little guy.
I like when Soderbergh, just because he I mean, we talked about this on Magic Mike, but he loves to experiment. He loves to like, hey, what if we film this movie in 2 weeks on a fucking microwave? And so I always appreciate everything he does.
That's like his Borderlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar in quality as well. Take that as you will. Yeah, good choice. Josh, finish your list.
Actually, I also had Emily the Criminal in the Northman.
It's a good thriller. It's a good thriller.
Yeah, no, it's good. And
old-fashioned.
then Northman. Yeah,
William, you
it's
should watch it
good.
because it kind of feels like the Friends of Eddie Coyle.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's got a
Nice.
Michael Mann
Nice.
thief kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, keep going.
No, that was it.
Oh, that's the only one.
You guys covered. Yeah, just you guys already covered it.
Okay.
So
Well, cool,
Yeah.
guys. Hopefully, we gave you some good ideas.
Yeah.
And yeah, now that we're back together, we can jump back into the real episodes, and we don't have to keep wading in the waters with Hellraiser.
now we can do
movies.
Hellraiser 7.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
yeah, no.
Guess what? You're in your own hell if we're back on Hellraisers. And we've gone through all the good ones.
What if we just all 3 make one of our own Hellraisers? And
Oh.
like that's just one of the episodes.
Oh, I would love
Just
that.
show all of our films.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all watch
also,
a different one and try to describe it.
We could
Our,
do that too.
if you haven't seen our Bomb Squad the movie, that was out already. That's having fun. It's got like 1,000 views, so I don't know why you're watching that, but good for you. But yeah, cool. So we'll see.
Thanks for watching the Bomb Squad. Please, while you're here, give us a like and a subscribe. We really appreciate it, and it means a lot.